I know that a lot of you, maybe you dislike Xbox, you think I dislike Xbox. I always have to kind of defend that lately. Like, I don't dislike Xbox, I like Xbox, but I like the console. I like the console experience. I don't want to mess with Windows. I have a huge library of games. I don't want to switch over to PC. It feels like Microsoft's trying to offload people to PC so they can eventually stop the hardware altogether. I think whatever this next hardware is the last for them, because it'll be a PC and they think people just get another PC or whatever the case may be. Now, the big problem that I have with like the PC stuff is a lot of what they're doing now is comparable to this ROG Ally thing, right? And so some of you guys might know a little bit about that, like what the ROG Ally is. It's you know, and it's basically running 100% of you know, of kind of PC stuff or whatever the case may be. It's running Windows full board and things like that. Now, the interesting thing is, supposedly that's what the next gen Xbox is going to be, which we know that the next Xbox is just going to be a PC, but it's going to be running Windows. It's going to be running the full Windows. But you know, make no mistake, Windows is very bloated. Some people don't understand that. Like, Windows has never been perfect. Windows has never been great. Windows has always been something that people begrudgingly use because there's not a better alternative. You know, it's just unfortunate. Now, this thing that I'm talking about right here just goes to show the potential issues that this next Xbox would have, and it's one of the main reasons why I don't mess with PC, right? So this guy Gene Park, he's like a writer, a well-known journalist. He covers gaming. He's well known. He reviewed the the Xbox Ally. And what's interesting is he was taking to Twitter and was talking about it, and he says, Halo Infinite won't play when I press start on my $1,000 Xbox handheld device, so cool. After all, my favorite memory with Xbox video game consoles was updating to the latest Microsoft Visual C++ redistribution version. And then he responds later, Halo Infinite is working, I just had to verify and repair files and tasks for Xbox, go to installed apps, uninstall gaming services, then re-update the Xbox app in the Microsoft Store while updating to the latest Visual C++ redistribution, reinstall gaming services, and restart the machine. And then even more, he says, yeah, reviews weren't kidding. It took a good 4 hours to update the handheld and also debloat all the windows out of the Xbox Ally X. About to play some Starfield and Dragon's Dogma 2, really give it some work, because apparently somebody goes, wait, for real, the Xbox Ally has Teams installed. So Microsoft Teams came installed on this. Not only that, he later goes on to mention that he had to uninstall the calculator and all this other stuff too. So if you're a console fan, do you want to really mess with Microsoft Visual C++ redistribution, uninstall, reinstall, update? And if you know Windows updates all the time. So anyway, like, the funny thing is, people are always saying to me lately, well, PC and console are the same thing, blah blah blah. But the funny thing is, somebody mentions to this Park guy, Gene Park, they say, if you do that with their next PC plus console hybrid, it's going to be the shit show. Microsoft needs to understand and accept that gamers don't like or need a lot of what Windows generally comes with. And Gene Park responds, yep, and that's what the original Xbox team told Bill Gates when he flew off the handle, that Xbox wasn't going to be a Windows machine. He's finally getting what he always wanted, and Windows isn't any better. So, like, Bill Gates originally thought that this Xbox console was going to boot up this whole thing of Windows, and everybody would then have Windows in the living room. But the Xbox team told him, no, Windows sucks, right? So they took this little kernel that could boot up really fast, and they used that, and they modified that, and that's worked pretty well. Now they're going back to using the full-on Windows. And think about this, right? Regardless of whether they have like a more traditional thing that you're going to be able to stay in, it's still going to be running Windows and have to get Windows updates. It's still going to have an antivirus, and it's still going to come probably packed with Teams and all this crap that you don't need. And you might go, well, why would they put that on there? Because they want everything to be able to communicate with each other and have a universal kind of unity to it. So if ROG Ally Xbox has Teams, wouldn't the next Xbox also have Teams? Like, yeah. the other thing is, somebody else mentions it, so it really speaks to the fact that it's just another handheld PC with an X on the front, and Gene says absolutely a PC. And somebody else says, I watched Matty B's review and he talked about there being an update for a calculator app, and Gene Park says, yep, had to remove that. So Microsoft literally put the full board Windows. This thing's going to have Copilot. This thing's going to have all this stuff, all this bloat. And people don't realize that. Like, they think, like, the ones on Twitter or whatever the case may be, you see them and they go, oh, well, it's really, it's really a situation that where we see people are kind of talking about, oh, well, it's not a big deal, Windows is fine, etc., etc. And I think people don't really understand, because when you look at, like, the costing and the price point of this thing, they're saying it could be $1,000, $1,200, even up to $1,500. Now, we can only speculate at this particular point, but wouldn't that be like a really bad price point for things? Like, I really just honestly feel that would be a terrible price point, and you're taking, people who are already, using a niche product, right? and you're kind of saying, okay, well, basically you're just stuck using this. If you have a library with us, you're either going to spend all this money to continue using your library, or you're going to go somewhere else where you're still going to buy our games. It's like Microsoft is kind of goading fans at this particular point, and it doesn't really make sense. I don't understand it personally. I think that what Microsoft is doing is really just kind of sticking it to the longtime fans. When you have the CEO doing interviews and doesn't mention the word Xbox at all, and then compares Xbox to Office, and talks up TikTok and all these kind of things, like, I think that's a bit of a problem, and that's a real issue. That's a real issue going forward, because again, the thing is like, and I want to make it clear too, because Sony had mentioned TikTok before, somebody on Sony side, or maybe an ex-Sony employee, and I get it, but I've also said, if you make great games, like, people are going to want to play them, and they'll play the games, and there's no doubt about that. Okay, like, the PlayStation 5 has been the most successful, most profitable, not revenue, the most profitable PlayStation in history, so they're obviously still getting theirs. That's something that you have to kind of point to and say, hey, you know what, they're getting theirs, and they're not putting all their games on Xbox. So how is it that Xbox, who's like the largest publisher, has to put everything everywhere to help prevent TikTok from taking over? Like that, like, the argument doesn't make sense to me. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, whatever the case may be, but this to me really points to the problems where we could be seeing a lot of these things happening over and over again, where people aren't really up to date with kind of what's going on. So again, I'm kind of pointing this out. Like, if you're an Xbox console fan, maybe some of you are okay with doing some of this stuff. Oh, BIOS, oh this, oh that, updates, and Windows. Like, I work on a Windows PC. It'll constantly, like, I'll have my thing open, I'll come back, and then it'll have restarted because it installed an update. Or sometimes it'll be like, we have to restart and it won't let you do something because you'll have to restart and download this updates. And for some reason, no matter how fast your internet, the the actual the download times are insane. So yeah, it's kind of crazy to kind of think about that, but I mean, that's not what I'm looking for in the next Xbox. And for some reason, even though Microsoft is a software company, their OSs haven't been great. Like, I'll take the Xbox OS over Windows, and I'm not even like a huge PlayStation guy, but the PlayStation OS is so smooth and buttery compared to Xbox, and now it's going to get even worse because you're going to be running full tilt Windows on it, and big picture mode and all this stuff. It's like, I don't want that, man. I want just a regular Xbox OS and my games on there. That's it. I don't want to be able to install different stores or Office or QuickBooks or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't see that as why would an Xbox need that stuff, right? it doesn't make sense to me. I hope some of you guys are on board with what I'm saying here. Like, I get that some of you are going to be like, oh, it's going to kill the PlayStation. Well, it's like, how? You know, like, I don't see that happening, you know, especially at not $1,200 to $1,500. But, you know, anyway, what do you guys think about this? I mean, do you guys want to see this much rigmarole with a console, what's supposed to be a console experience? I just can't deal with it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.